Now we can continue doing a brief summary of the history of safety. So here we can see a representation of the 3 ages of safety as it was stated by Yale and Hoppe. We can say that the 3 ages of safety started in 1769 when James Watt received his first patent for the steam machine. From then, humans started to build more and more complex machines. So during that age, the main threats for safety came from the technology itself. So the main concerns during this age was to protect machinery from failure. But there was an important event or point for safety in 1893, where it was published the Railroad Safety Act, where it was stated the need to blend both technology safety and government regulations. These aids work pretty well, while the machines were not that complex. But as the aids passed, all the machines started to be more and more complex. During this age, we started to build nuclear power plants, or we had aviation being used more and more commonly. So, as I have said, this worked pretty well until the end of the 70s, because in 1979, 3 Mile Island disaster happened. 3 Mile Island was a nuclear power facility in Pennsylvania. This accident or incident demonstrated that there were not just technological risks. 3 Mile Island went under all the safety regulations, including a probabilistic risk analysis. But an accident took place. Then they discovered that also humans can do things, positive or negative, under challenging situations. This was the beginning of the human factors era. And the idea was to include human factors as the starting point was the PRA. They used the PRA, or probabilistic risk assessment, in order to develop the human reliability assessment, or HRA. So during this age, there was a philosophical separation between reactive safety, that is this safety that investigates the accident, and proactive safety, that is the risk assessment. Because the latter was based on probabilities of an accident to happen in the future. This worked until the Challenger accident happened in 1986. That means that this age was roughly 6 years old. After the Challenger accident, there was the Chernobyl incident the same year. So this age, known as the age of human factors, lasted roughly a decade. After those events or accidents, we also had during the same year Los Rodeos Airport accident, where 2 planes crashed while one was taking off and the other was taking on, due to bad communication between the tower control or control tower, and the aircrafts. So it was clear that not only the technology and not only human actions were necessary. It was necessary to include the management of the organization in all the considerations for safety. And that age lasted more or less until 2011, when there was the Fukushima accident in Japan. After that, some people have started to say that we need to be in a new age, the interorganizational age. That means that not only the organizations that runs airports, aircrafts, nuclear power plants, and etc. has something to say about safety. Everybody who is concerned about safety in an industry has to work together. Now we can continue with an example. Let's see this example. Here we are going to see how Safety 1 works normally. Qantas Flight 32 was a passenger flight that suffered an uncontained engine failure and made an emergency landing at Singapore Airport. It was the first failure of its kind for the Airbus A380, the world's largest passenger aircraft and most Airbus advanced model. During the flight, an engine suffered an explosion. Parts of the engine were released and damaged the wings. As you may know, in the wings you have the fuel tanks. So the fuel tanks were damaged or pierced, provoking minor damage to the wing but producing leakage in the fuel tank, and the fuel fired. The rest of the engines were working properly, so they made the landing. That was the event. After an event, according to Safety 1, there must be an investigation. So the Australian Transport Bureau, or Safety Bureau, and Rolls-Royce, that was the engine manufacturer, started an investigation. And they found several causes to provoke the accident: fatigue cracking the stop pipe due to a misaligned counter, oil leakage and fire, release of intermediate pressure turbine, and they said that the issue was specific to Trent 900. Here we have two things. The plane was at Singapore for months before it was being repaired, and took a lot of money to do it. But also, after that, they thought that they had found causes and effect to lead to the explosion and explain the whole event. So, as a result of the investigation, it was stated that it was a specific issue to Trent 900 engine. So, after running, they gave a lot of tips in order to keep all the planes with that engine on the air. But after several investigations, they ran additional tests, and they discovered that on all those tests, 53 engines of that model has to be removed from service. 11 due to out-of-tolerance oil feed stop pipes, and 42 due to lack of measurement records relating the oil feed stub pipes. So finally, after going through all these, we had a huge explosion in a plane with all the problems. We have to repair the plane. We have to take all the passengers to new planes. We ran a whole investigation, and finally the solution, after several tries, was to remove the engines. That's not pretty good from an operational perspective. So it can be seen that they followed the normal domino effect. They based their safety in several barriers, as it was stated in the cheese barrier model, but there is always a trajectory for an accident to happen in that model. Now we are going to try to approach to this using Safety 2. But first, we have to know how Safety 2 works. So let's continue.